The cave was supposed to be an adventure. But when the tunnel collapsed and darkness swallowed them alive, Ali realized something even more terrifying than death. Someone inside the cave had planned it. Cold mountain wind rushed across the rocky cliffs as Ali, Hamza, Bilal, and Sod stood before the enormous cave entrance, their helmet lights slicing thin beams into the endless darkness ahead while nervous smiles tried to hide the quiet fear sitting inside their hearts. Hamza excitedly talked about filming the exploration for their channel and becoming famous, but Ali's eyes slowly drifted towards Sod, who stood a little distance away secretly typing something on his phone before quickly hiding it and forcing a strange smile. And although the others laughed and stepped inside the cave, Ali felt a heavy pressure growing in his chest as if the mountain itself was warning him not to enter, his jaw tightening and his thoughts whispering that something felt wrong. Yet he pushed the feeling aside and followed his friends into the dark tunnel, their footsteps echoing deeper and deeper into the cave until suddenly a sharp cracking sound echoed from above and a small rock fell behind them, making Ali turn back with a sudden chill running down his spine. Hours later, the narrow tunnels twisted endlessly around them as the sound of dripping water echoed through the suffocating darkness, their flashlight beams trembling slightly while exhaustion slowly crept into their bodies, and without warning a terrifying cracking roar exploded above them before a violent avalanche of rocks crashed down behind their backs, dust filling the air while Bilal screamed in terror and Hamza desperately tried to push the heavy stones away with shaking hands, coughing and gasping for breath. But Ali froze for a moment because while everyone else panicked, Sod stood strangely calm. His pale face turned away from Ali as if he had expected the disaster, and the more Ali looked at him, the more a cold suspicion grew inside his chest until he slowly stepped closer and whispered through clenched teeth, asking how Sod had known this tunnel existed. The air inside the cave felt heavier with every breath as Ali stood face to face with Sod, his fists tightening slowly while Hamza stared between them in confusion and Bilal leaned against the damp cave wall trying to steady his breathing. And after a painful silence, Sod's voice finally cracked as he confessed that the cave trip had never been just an adventure. He had secretly arranged it with an online documentary crew who wanted a real survival story, believing rescuers would arrive quickly and the danger would only be temporary. But the unexpected collapse had trapped them far deeper inside the mountain than anyone planned. And the moment those words echoed through the cave, Ali felt betrayal strike his heart like ice while Sod lowered his head in shame, unable to look at anyone. And before anyone could even react, Bilal's legs suddenly gave out and he collapsed heavily onto the cold cave floor. Ali immediately dropped beside Bilal and shook him desperately while Hamza's hands trembled uncontrollably and Sod sat against the cave wall with his head buried in his palms, guilt crushing him as the sound of dripping water echoed loudly through the silent tunnel. And although Ali's heart burned with anger and the thought of revenge, he forced himself to breathe slowly because survival mattered more than rage. So standing up, he began searching the surrounding tunnels carefully, his flashlight beam sliding across the cold stone walls until suddenly a faint breeze brushed against his cheek, making him freeze in disbelief, his tired eyes widening as hope slowly sparked inside his mind, and he whispered softly into the darkness that air was coming from somewhere. The tunnel looked impossibly small as Ali lowered himself onto the cold ground and began crawling forward inch by inch, his chest scraping painfully against the rock while mud soaked his clothes and every breath echoed loudly in the tight darkness. Behind, Hamza slowly pushed Bilal forward while Sod crawled silently at the back with regret written across his exhausted face. And for what felt like endless hours, the tunnel stretched forward through the mountain until suddenly a faint beam of natural light appeared ahead, glowing through a crack in the rock, making Ali's heart pound wildly with hope as he forced his tired body forward with the last strength he had until finally his hands reached open air outside the cave. Days later, inside a crowded police station, the air felt heavy with tension as reporters whispered quietly and rain tapped against the windows, and Ali stood firmly in the center of the room with determination burning in his eyes while Sod sat beside an officer with slumped shoulders and a hollow expression filled with regret. And when Ali finally revealed the entire truth about the secret plan, the greed for fame, and the reckless stunt that nearly killed them all, the room fell into stunned silence while Hamza looked away in disbelief and Bilal clenched his fists with quiet anger. And as Sod sat there unable to defend himself, the officer slowly stood and calmly told him that he was under arrest. Weeks later, Ali stood quietly on a peaceful hill overlooking the same mountains where the cave still rested silently beneath the earth, the warm golden sunset lighting the sky while the wind moved gently through the tall grass, and Hamza and Bilal walked toward him with relieved smiles. And although the memory of betrayal still lingered deep inside his heart, Ali felt something stronger rising within him, resilience and quiet strength born from surviving the darkness. And as he looked toward the distant cave entrance one last time, he realized that the mountain had almost taken their lives, but it had also revealed the truth about trust and betrayal.